where did I leave off with that story? Because everybody's been busting my chops about that shit.
Well, I think it was where you were talking about how the company had approached you and said, "Look, we're just going to have this fucking guy,
Yeah.
earmarking the position."
Yeah. So they sent this cat up there to Kabul to be the team leader, but they said he's not going to do anything because guy had never been to Kabul, didn't know the routes, didn't know shit. You know what I mean? He's just going to tag along and he's going to be the TL, but you're going to run the team, which was what the fuck ever. I didn't give a shit. So he comes up there. That didn't work. So they keep on with this, like, you can't be the team leader and the medic. And I'm like, well, why not? And so he says, well, we don't want you, we don't want you on the ground if something happens. And so I'm like, okay, when we're going to some of these smaller sites around Kabul, we're doing 2 Vic moves. So you got a driver, a TC, and then in the other car, you got the driver, the TC, and the fucking client. So when you get out on the ground to do a 2-person, 1 client movement, I'm sitting here going like, where the fuck do you want me to be? If you don't want me on the ground, where the fuck do you want me at? Because there's only 2 of us. He said, well, can't you drive the car? So you want the medic tied up behind the vehicle's driver's seat. Okay. I said, what happens if something goes on and I have to get out and we got a car down? Now we're down to 1 vehicle. Now we're trying to cram 5 guys in body armor and weapons and everything inside a fucking 1 Land Cruiser. Like, it could be done, but you know what I mean? Not without some amount of difficulty. And he's like, okay, well, and so literally I take the fucking piece of paper on his desk and draw 2 boxes. This is the ops guy. And I'm like, here's how this works. I'm like, where do you want me to be? And he's like, yeah, I didn't think about that. So anyway, they wound up going, bringing that guy up. That didn't pan out. He wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't squared the fuck away, man. He was, anyway.
Little green.
And that was right after that is when they brought Bolts back. And so they come to me and they're like, hey, you think Bolts, you'd be okay? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I love Bolts. So Bolts came over and was the TL. And then he brought
like nuts too,
which Bex was a cool dude, man. We just butted heads right there at the end because Bolts had already dipped out. And so we were standing the teams down and we were supposed to do fucking inventory. And he's like, be out here in front of my hooch. He was acting TL at the time. He's be out here in front of my hooch at like 08. Fucking, we're standing there trying to damn inventory all this fucking ammo and shit. You know how much it was. It was crazy. And he ain't there. So it gets about 10 o'clock. We go over to fucking chow hall, finally find him sitting in the chow hall 2 hours later, drinking fucking tea.
Oh.
And so I start getting in his fucking ass about it. And man, we about came to blows over that shit. I mean, he was just fucking, fuck him. If you're listening, fuck you.
And who was that? Who was the guy who said that shit?
Well, I'm just going to say his call sign was Bex.
Okay, yeah.
Me and you talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to blast people out and get into that bullshit if I don't have to, but
no.
You know, and he was a decent dude. It was just a personality glitch, man. It just didn't work for me, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to get any, a number of alphas around each other. You're going to get personality clashes. They can be solid to work with, but off time, you're just like, I don't like that dude.
Yeah. Well, and Dale and I have talked extensively about a person that we know that's, solid fucking dude, great fucking dude, love to be around him, but cannot stand to work for him. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just a different animal altogether, and the downside to some people is they can't take that fucking criticism and use it to grow or something. You know what I mean? It's like a personal fucking attack if you disagree with them.
Right.
Well,
like, you may be the greatest
everybody
person
nowadays.
in the world, man. You may be the greatest fucking guy in the world, but if you can't shoot a weapon, like, what the fuck are you doing for me on this team? You know what I mean? Like, that's rule number 1. We had and that these y'all been around Brits as much as I have. They don't carry pistols. They just don't carry sidearms. They're just not proficient in sidearms. They're great with long guns, but many of them just can't shoot a fucking sidearm. Not all of them. That's not stereotype, but a lot of the guys I know, they would just tell you, look, man, we just didn't carry sidearms. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
not.
I was gonna say there's some of that in the U.S. military
Yeah,
too,
there
like
is. Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
Marines.
So we had
Oh,
this cat
absolutely.
come over as a medic, and anyway, he couldn't hardly do the PT test. He just barely had a lot of fucking trouble. And so we're in Kabul. And so I go to ops guy and I'm like, just get rid of this guy, man. I can't do anything with. He can't even do a fucking pull up. Can't do one fucking pull up. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck you want me to do with him? I said, he can't even qual his pistol. Literally couldn't do the fucking qual. And I'm talking about the 40 rounds on black qual. I ain't talking about splitting fucking atoms over here. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I was like, get him out of here. He can't fucking shoot. He's like, well, that's not such a big deal, is it? And again, this is the same guy that I had to explain the other shit to. Now I'm starting to question our leadership. You know what I mean? Like,
You
yeah, it
think?
fucking matters. That should be like rule number one. Can you fucking qual? That's a bare minimum, bro. That's bare fucking minimum.
Well, dude, that it's funny you were talking about everybody in this world, but let's let's segue this specifically into our alpha community, because I saw this shit. Like, you got these motherfuckers overseas that are like, oh, big boy rules, big boy rules. Now, my interpretation of the big boy rules is, if you got a beef with someone, you squash it between you and that guy. And if that means you have to take it behind the fucking Conex box, and two you go back there and one man comes out the winner, that's how it's handled. But you get these motherfuckers, you call out, and next thing you know, they're trying to get you sent home chicken or dinner, chicken or steak, window or aisle, and you're like, yo, motherfucker, I thought you said big boy rules. Oh, wait, until you can screw me over and fuck me out of a job. Okay, sure. And
big boy rules until you say something that hurts my fucking feelings.
Yeah, and they got some bitch feelings, man, like wearing that shit on their sleeves, man. Yeah. I'm like, how the fuck do you consider yourself an alpha, and yet you can't take any amount of criticism? Like, I know I can be an asshole. I mean, people are like, what are you going to do if someone calls you an asshole? I'm like, own it. I mean, I probably am one.
Hard to argue with them. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably telling the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things with me too. I hate even using the term alpha. I guess because it's been used so much. My thought process is, and on the psychological side, they have, I guess, what you would call an omega, the individual that, can you be a leader? Can you do what it takes? Yeah, you can, but do you have to? No. And that was kind of always me. Like, I don't need to be the one in charge of everything. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be led by a dog. You have, and what I mean by that is, it's the old adage, or the old question is, would you rather have a pack of lions led by a dog, or would you rather have a pack of dogs led by a lion? Well, everything is going to stem from that leadership position. So if you've got a dog up there as a leader trying to lead a pack of lions, that pack of lions is going to start acting like that dog. So they're kind of useless. That whole big boy rules, I've seen it thousands of times. You guys have seen the same thing, but it was even the same way with the police department when I come home to become a cop. The instructors and everybody else, it's big boy rules this, it's big boy rules that, officer discretion, make the right decision, so on and so forth. It absolutely is not. It is 100% mindless and robotic. And people get their feelings hurt, man. They really do. And that's one of the things that I kind of wonder myself is, what happened to that tough guy? What happened to that tough guy that wanted to go behind the box while ago with big boy rules and figure things out? Now all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I've said it for years, if you got to tell somebody how tough you are, you fucking ain't. You know what I mean? Like, just plain and simple. Like, there's so many people. I don't mind people getting their feelings hurt. There's, feelings, and I've said this for years. After all the education stuff, that feelings are your interpretation of things. That's your response to it. No one can tell you whether a feeling or an emotion is right or wrong. They don't have an intrinsic or an inherent. You just own feelings. Something may make you mad that doesn't bother me. Something may bother me that doesn't bother you. So those feelings are individual, they're private, and you own those. No one can make you feel anything. You choose to respond accordingly based on who you are. You know what I mean? I can't make you feel sad or feel intimidated or depressed or something. That's your interpretation of, you know, the visual and psychological cues that I'm putting off. But I can't make you feel that. You have to feel that. And I don't mind people feeling those things because I don't think there's any guilt in feeling. Something may make me cry like Old Yeller and you may laugh about it. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any guilt associated with just having feelings. But when you decide that I'm at fault for something that you perceived as offensive or wrong, you know what I mean? Then that's where I start having a problem with it, because I don't know how many times over the years people have told me that I shouldn't use profanity. Oh, you can't use profanity. And like I said before, who decided the word shit was worse than the word poop? You know what I mean? You get offended because I say fuck. You'd rather me use fornicate. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's the same goddamn thing. Like, I just don't.
I know, right?
So if
Does
you
your
get
mind
offended,
conjure the same imagery? That's
if
real
you get
question at the end
offended,
of
all
the day.
you're telling me is that that's my weakness. Here's my weakness on display for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Here's what bothers me. And this is what I told my oldest boy before he started dealing with the Marine Corps and the OCS stuff. He came, we were talking. I said, if you allow them, the DIs, if you allow them to see that weakness, they're going to zero in on you like a pack of sharks. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, it's going to be like blood in the water in a fucking shark tank. Like, you cannot. So, like I said, it bothers me when people say, I found that's offensive. That's offensive. No, it's not. It's a fucking word. You can be offended by it, but that's your fucking interpretation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's just some, I don't know, whatever.
Well, and literally, you know, when I was going through some therapy after my explosion, I remember talking to the doctor, you know, about this because I was having problems processing shit, and he talked to me about bottom up and top down feeling paradigm.
Oh, I thought we were, never mind.
I'm always the bottom.
I thought he was getting.
Just so you know,
I thought he
Looney,
was
I'm
getting
always
ready
the bottom.
to come out of the closet. I thought he was coming out right here and now.
Look, how long we been on this thing?
About 15.
It says I got 2 minutes left.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah.
I swear, man.
It tells me it says we got 9 minutes and 40 seconds left.
Can y'all still see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
while we're talking, I'm going to upgrade this damn thing.
Yeah, might as well. We'll chip in. I know I will.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that or whatever that other one was that somebody had mentioned. Shit, I forget what it was. My daughter, she knows the name of it.
I know we're too old to fucking remember that shit, huh?
Yeah, right.
I remember you saying it last week too, and it's like fucking I don't know.
Well, I'd have to go through my phone to find it, and then then I just
look at which thread it was on.
How does this answer?
Was it OnlyFans?
I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
How do I like this?
Yeah.
I saw I thought a deal yesterday with this. I'm on fucking hell. We should have done this later. We'll just have to do it in 2 episodes. I'll upgrade this motherfucker later. I saw a thing a little while ago where there was like the most embarrassing shit on TikTok or something, and it was this older lady standing out in front of McDonald's, and you know the sign when you pull up at McDonald's, and it's got the it like says mobile phone ordering park here, you know, whatever.
Right.
She's standing in front of it, pressing the fucking phone.
Oh shit!
She's like can't get anybody to come to it. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. So yeah, there's some.
Go lay down.
That happens.
All right. So what else?
Oh shit!
Going back,
we were talking.
No, I mean this one's like stand on the feelings of people. It goes back into this. And I'm probably going to piss people off, but this whole LGBTQ fucking alphabet thing, especially with the shootings and everything, you know, people pushing their agenda on each other. Like my whole thing, and I've been asked numerous times, as I'm sure you guys have, oh, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? I'm neither. I'm a fucking patriot, man. That's what I am. I can see both sides of it. Do you want to smoke weed? Smoke weed. I don't give two shits. Do you want to be gay carrying a fucking AR-15 down the road, wearing fucking rainbow flags wrapped around your neck? Go for it. I don't care. That is your right as an American. Where I have the issue is when you try to impress upon me or my family or my lifestyle what you think should be pressed upon everybody else. I don't give a fuck about it. Like, keep your shit to yourself. And when I tell you that, don't come back trying to tell me, oh, I've offended you or whatever the case may be. No,
Well,
I
and
didn't
that's the
offend
thing
anybody.
is nowadays you either have to jump on board and wave the flag with them, or if you just go, I don't agree with it, then it's you're either with them or you're against them, and it's just there's just this delineation down the middle where there's just no middle ground of, yeah, no, I get it. So it's either you're with it or you're either 100% against it, is how they make it out to be, and it's ridiculous.
Well,
And
and I've
I
heard it discussed. This is why they keep trying to say that, this type of language is considered violence, because they're actually trying to normalize it being okay to attack people with our values, but not okay to attack people with their values, because that's considered a hate crime. But attacking us is
no,
okay because we're the majority, and there's no such thing as racism against people who are in the majority. It's like bullshit. Racism is racism. Fuck off.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree
That
with
was the issue that I had, it's okay for one, but it's not okay for another.
Right.
And that's, I'm not even going to say I get pissed off. I mean, because I really don't. It's the annoyance factor, and it's the fact that this shit's being shoved down our kids' throats. Like, I'm medically inclined enough, and you the two of you have been medics your whole lives. But the last time I checked, and the last time I went through anatomy and physiology, there's two sexes, and that's it. Bottom line, there's
Yeah.
no you're not going to switch from one to the other, no matter
Yeah, the
how
closest
bad
thing
you
is an
think you want
anomaly.
to.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
and those are very, very
hermaphrodite.
rare.
Right,
Yeah,
so
and
rare
that's
it's an
very rare.
anomaly. Yeah.
Exactly. So, whenever I look at it and people are getting butthurt about this shit, I guess the question I find myself asking all the time is, when did it become okay to be a piece of shit? Um, I used to go to calls when I was a cop, and they would, people out there getting offended because they're arguing. Oh, well, this person said this person said that. And under law, one of the things that I would ask them is, well, did they threaten you in any way? Did they threaten to kill you? Did they threaten to shoot you or anything like that? Well, no. And I would tell people flat out, well, I'm sorry, ma'am or sir, there's no law against being an asshole. Like, I can't arrest you for being an asshole, And the minute I would say that, and I'm being brutally honest, mind you, now I became the asshole.
Right.
Because I'm the officer and I'm not placing somebody under arrest because they just cuss someone out. When did that become okay? Whereas we're moving more and more and more to a society to where if you call somebody a fat ass, oh, that's offensive. You can't do that. You can go to jail for that. What? When? Since when?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So,
and so and just for that example, that you use as calling somebody a fat ass, that's taboo. You can't do that. Now, myself, I am not a large gentleman, as you all know, but it's perfectly acceptable for a random stranger to come up and be like, man, you need to eat a burger or something like that.
exactly.
Which, that person's just an asshole. Maybe they say that to fat people too. I have no clue, but
Notice how
it's
Booger isolated himself and saying, I'm not a large person, but the three of you.
I can only speak for myself.
Hey, you calling us fat, Booger?
Nobody wants
he's
me
fat
to be the
shaming us.
spokesperson.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of like what I was saying a little bit ago, but you can be offended all you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who gives a fuck? Like, what's going to happen? I got offended, and
yeah,
I mean, some of these people need a fucking smack in the mouth. You know what I mean? Like, the world is not going to end if you get offended. You should get offended. How
Yeah.
fucking arrogant do you think you are that you can go through your entire life without another person disagreeing with you in some way, shape, or form? You know what I mean? How fucking arrogant do you got to be to think that you're going to cruise through life and every fucking idea you have is going to be so perfect that fucking rainbows, people are just going to come running out of the woodwork to pat you on the back? Like,
Sure.
where does that
Well,
mentality come from?
I've
Get
Remember
argued
the
this.
first
itch, get your fucking boots on and get dirty, man. Do some work. You know what I mean? Earn something.
I've argued extensively that like there's a fine line between bullying, which is the repeated harassment and beratement and belittling of someone, and being and offending someone. I remember as a kid, we used to call this girl out on she smelled, she was overweight, she picked her nose. She was a second grader. We were all second graders, but we would always kind of pick on it. We wouldn't be bullying, but we'd pick on it. And as she got older, she started leaning out, she stopped picking her nose, and she started taking damn showers because that social pressure to conform to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable is going to be what makes our society thrive or fall the fuck apart. And everybody walks around in eggshells saying, "Oh, well, I don't want to bully anyone." It's like, no, there's a difference between bullying them and calling them out on their shit.
I would
I
think
expect to be called out on my shit.
I would think bullying leads more towards a personal kind of gratification for the person committing it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm bullying you to kind of exert power over you, and that provides me with that stimulus. But me
Exactly.
telling you that, dude, you're gonna have a fucking heart attack if you don't lose some weight. I mean,
Right?
Well, I think the biggest
think-
issue
I
is
think-
we all want to be these individuals, and everybody else have these labels and all of that, and everybody's forgetting that we're all damn human beings, and trying to break them down into all these little subcategories and all of that is just going to further divide everybody.
well, and
My opinion.
I think part of that is the intent. But yeah, and I'm like, just like what Animal was saying a little bit ago, I don't give a damn if you're gay. I don't give a damn if you're straight. I don't want you coming up and telling me you're gay, just like I don't want another fucking couple coming up and saying, "Hey, we're straight. Just wanted you to know we're gonna go home
Yeah.
and bang tonight." I don't want to hear that shit from anybody, let alone fucking. I don't care. Like, get the fuck
Right.
out of my face.
Of course, in the team room, we talk about so the guy who likes a finger in the ass, but that's
Yeah,
a different
I mean,
story.
And they're like, "Oh well, gay rights, gay rights, gay rights, and gay pride." That's one thing that bugs the shit out of me. There's two parts of this that really fucking infuriate me. One of them is gay pride. What the fuck are you proud of? What you do?
Yeah, what have you done?
Force did
What have you done?
exert upon the physical world? What great mountain did you climb? You know what I mean? What goddamn disease did you stamp out that you can raise your fucking arms in the air and say, "Yes, we did it"? You know what I mean? You woke up and you like cock. I don't
Right.
see where the fucking achievement is here. You know what I mean? Nobody pats me on the back for liking chicks.
Right?
Shouldn't I stand up and go, "Yes, I'm fucking straight"?
Well, and the
Hoorah!
counter argument is you get every day.
Yeah, what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't
I
say kick my
think-
balls, but they might actually want to do it. So the other part that bothers me about this is the word phobia. When
Right.
they say homophobia, transphobia, that implies that there's an irrational and uncontrollable fear. Now,
Right.
I have that
Yep.
in terms of great white sharks. This is why I don't prefer the ocean. That and fucking spiders. You remember that. But like gay people, what are you gonna do? Infect me with gayness? Like, you can't convince me to start liking cock. It's not gonna happen. You put a
Right.
fucking banana on it, a cherry on top, and whipped cream all around it. I'm not sucking the damn thing, not unless it's a fucking certified bank check for $1 million.
I think
Right.
no, hold up. I think we've already clarified for $1 million. You say
I
you
just
get
said for
right
$1
there
million
and get
bucks.
right after it.
Yeah, that was just the no
Hey,
questions
If it's got a
asked
cherry on it, I might go
threshold.
down to $850. You know what I mean?
Everything has a monetary figure attached to it.
You're damn
Everything
right.
does.
But yeah,
And if you're not going to admit that, you're
man.
not being honest.
That phobia.
I
part,
think honestly, I think the difference, people call it bullying. I think there's a huge bullying, but there's a huge difference between bullying and truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is what appears to hurt people's feelings. prime example, what you were saying, somebody picking their nose, somebody farting, somebody not showering, not brushing their teeth. And then you flat out, hey, did you brush your fucking teeth this morning, dude? Like, hey, how about you go brush your teeth?
Not
Like, I don't find that as bullying.
No.
You know, I find that is quite honestly, why, as a grown man, am I even having to address this with you?
Right.
Like,
Well,
why am I even having to ask this?
I've heard a lot of people
You
in
know,
religious areas too, or stuff where they'll say, "Oh, don't judge that person. You're judging that person." You know what? If you smell like a fucking bag of shit, that's not judging. You just smell like a bag of shit. Now, if I come to you and say,
yes,
"Hey, I'm the morality police," you know what I mean? And here's what you need to do to be a good person. That's me fucking judging you. But if you smell like a bucket of shit, you smell like a bucket of shit. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Call it a fucking spade.
yeah, exactly. You know,
Well,
now in the off chance that somebody doesn't have money, they're living on the streets and things like that. Look, I get it. I get not everybody is blessed or willing to go work or do whatever it takes. But you know, when I'm in an office environment or when I'm in the field or when we're working overseas together and you're walking around like Linus in a dust cloud with your blanket, like, you're a grown ass man. Why am I having to tell you to wipe the toilet seat after you go to the bathroom? That's not
and you're
bullying.
addressing it right there. People who are operating in your orbit, like as part of conducting
Yes,
business or
yes.
associations, then it's like, yeah, I'm going to say something to you. Now, if you just happen to be a stranger that, is going to walk by and I give two shits about, I'm not probably going to say anything to you because as soon as you leave my orbit, I don't care anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
correcting
I'm
people on
glad
their
you said
speech.
that.
You know, I've had real close friends that have used words incorrectly, and I mean we all do from time to time. I stutter, you know,
It's me, isn't it?
especially with these thumbs. But,
Yeah, I was about to say, I know a guy
That's,
that can't operate a basic iPhone.
needs an
well,
iPad for an iPhone.
this is a goddamn big one. This is the super fucking iPhone, the Max.
Yeah, you got those fucking frying pan hands. What are you even trying to mess with that thing for?
I need an iPad. But anyway, I forget what I was going to say now. Fuck, you made me lose my train of thought. But like I've had close friends over the years that I've said, man, I had a buddy of mine one time, he used the word rigor mortis. Rigor mortis. But he used it like, oh, I can't, he'd be aggravated at a crowd of people. Oh, I can't stand all this rigor mortis. I'm like, dude, I don't think that means what you think it means. He's like, I can make it mean whatever I want to. And he would just use it. He would get offended when you tried to correct him. I'm like, I'm your friend. I'm invested in your life. I'm invested in your outcome. I want you to succeed. I want to tag along for that ride. You know what I mean? I like you. We're friends. Wouldn't you rather me tell you you smell like a bucket of shit than everybody else just look at you and make fun of you for 2 weeks before somebody had the balls to tell you? Stop being so fucking sensitive, man. If you smell bad, take a fucking shower. Okay, you're right. I smell like shit. I'll be back.
Yeah.
So you see, the circumcision of that situation is you do not want the elephant of surprise to leap upon you.
You leave my penis out of this.
Oh, so when I was talking about those spiders a little while ago, Dale,
Oh my God.
I'm in Nangarhar on the Blackwater on the ABP program. So we're in K-spans. And so we got a hallway with rooms on both sides facing each other, and another hallway with rooms on both sides facing each other inside this K-span. And at the end is the showers and the fitters. And so I'm in the shower, and it's early in the morning, maybe like 05 or something. I don't know. I'm done with the gym. I go get in the shower, water's on, I'm half asleep. Turn around in this fucking shower, and on the curtain is a camel spider. Just holding the fucking curtain. Now, people have made a lot of assumptions about camel spiders over the years. But what I will tell you is that the smell of feces, urine, and a high-pitched squeal does nothing to deter them. So it's fucking 0500, and I'm running
You
down the
found out all
hallway,
three in that moment.
butt ass naked. You know what I mean? Butt ass naked, screaming like a girl with a fucking broom in my hand, trying to kill this goddamn spider. And everybody thinks we're under fucking attacks, coming out all fucking kitted up. You know what I mean? And it's me out there, butt ass naked, with my little Irish tic tac, swatting a fucking broom at a damn camel spider at 5 a.m.
Oh
That's
shit.
hilarious.
I remember that dance I
Yeah.
did on that porch up in upstate New York, and you were I looked and your ass was already jumping off the end of the porch.
Fuck all that.
You were like,
Fuck all
as soon
that.
as you were like, as soon as I saw how you moved, I knew it was a spider issue, and I'm gone.
We had to burn the fucking house down. Need to call an airstrike over here.
I'd never seen Looney move so fucking fast in my life either.
I levitated.
It was like fucking Flash. Like, what the fuck? Where'd he go? Oh
That's
shit.
Me and reptiles, any reptile, lizard, snake. Nope, I don't want anything to.
You shouldn't have brought up snakes and said you don't want anything to do with it. You just opened the fucking door, bro. That's way too easy.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with reptiles, with spiders. I got hit. Have you guys seen them big wolf spiders?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
They get huge, right?
Oh yeah.
So me and Peanut and a few other guys, we were working down at a training facility in South Texas, Pearsall, and we were teaching an off-road driving course.
Go lay down.
And these spiders, they'll make these huge, well, it was like a web. I don't know what it was. It was right off the side of the road, like a web or whatever it was. And as you drive through there, the windows are down on the vehicle, because if you roll a vehicle, you don't want glass shattering in your face and everything else. So we're burning through there, and we knew like stuff's coming in, and we're dodging and dodging. Well, I dodged at the wrong time, because about the time I went out and I came back, a spider flew in. I kid you not. It's the biggest world record spider is all I'm going to say. It was huge. Hit me square in the chest.
No,
We had to stop movement, stop motorcade, stop everything, because I come unasked from that seat and was trying to get out of the window while the Jeep was still traveling. And they're on the radio, what's happening? What's happening? I couldn't get it out. That's how quick I was trying to move. Spider, spider,
Driver
spider
down.
is all I could say. They're like, are you guys doing a drill? I said, no.
We are now.
Yeah, taking that shot to the chest, I had nothing. No, I wanted nothing more to do with it.
We were in Carver, Top Carver. I think it was just south of Baghdad. It's where Chemical Ali had all his shit.
Mm.
We're coming back in the fucking gate, and these Yugs are tearing
Mm.
down fucking sandbag wall. Just chucking sandbags everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? They're like, Doctor, there was a snake. And I'm like, where is it? It went into the wall. We are trying to find it. I'm like, put this goddamn sandbags up and leave it alone. If he's going in the wall, why the fuck would you go after him? You know what I mean? Them boys were going. I'm like, you're in a fucking area where every snake over here is deadly. Like there's nothing here that's just friendly. They're all fucking deadly. You know? They got the ones that breathe fire, the ones that spit acid, the ones that fucking pyro. I mean, you know, it's just nuts, man. They were going after it, dude. And then we were we were in fucking
in Pakistan, the damn cobras.
And they had we were on a blackout fob outside Kirkuk, and they had a goddamn fire built at the ECP at night to get warm.
Yep.
Back in. They had a goddamn fire out there roaring on a fucking blackout fob.
They keep wondering why fucking mortar attacks coming near them.
But Doctor, we are very cold.
But mister, it's cold.
Yeah, mister.
They look like a fucking Michelin man going on watch in the middle of summer in Iraq, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? It's cold. I'm like, how fucking warm is it where you're at?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the snakes in Pakistan weren't too friendly either. They climbed the trees. So everywhere we were at in Peshawar, they had these mango trees, like huge mangoes. So guys would climb, they'd want to go up there and get the mangoes. Anytime somebody new came in the country, can we eat those mangoes? Yeah, sure, go ahead. climb right up there, go get them. Cobras would sit up there in the trees. There was always cobras like up in those mango trees.
Nope.
So the local nationals, Mister, no climb. What do you mean? I'm gonna go get the mango. Mister, snake.
I'm hiding
And
just
about
thinking
every
about
time, yeah, there'd be a damn cobra sitting up in one of the mango trees.
We caught one at Integrity in Kabul, Afghanistan. Did y'all ever get to Integrity?
it. Mm-hmm.
VW compound there in Integrity.
Yep.
We caught one and it had it in a jar. I sent a picture of it to my wife. She's like, "What the fuck is that?" I said, "It's a baby cobra." She's like, "Why in the fuck is it in a jar?" It's like,
What time
that's a
frame
fair
were you
point.
there?
That's a fair point.
What
Do what?
time frame were you there?
At Integrity,
Yeah.
in and out between 9 and 11, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, because I let's see, 10, yeah, about 10 to 12 was when I was over there. We had the IRI house out in town over Cardasay neighborhood, I think was the name of it, over by the Kings and Queens Palace. But we used to go over there to Integrity, and then I forget what the other camp was there. But they had a Dairy Queen, so we'd go there all the time.
Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble at Integrity. I don't know if I should tell that story. We were over at the Deco compound, so I guess you can imagine how this is going to go. I think I'll skip that one.
For another episode.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
We were over
Right.
at the Deco compound. They had a bar on Thursday nights. And we got over there and we got fried. And me and Don and a bunch of us been out in the woods, I guess. It got fucking stupid. So anyway, so we're up there and we're just sitting in. Did you ever go over there, Boog?
Was that Green Village?
No, at the Deco compound next door, the DEA compound. We shared that
We
common
might have,
door on the,
yeah.
I think it was the north wall.
Yeah, I had a buddy that was working over there. We went over, once.
Upstairs, they had this bar, and on Thursday nights, if I'm remembering right. Now, some of this is cloudy because I wish Don was on here; he'd tell it. But I was pretty drunk that night, and this is back when I still drank. But we were up there, and I go back up to the bar. We're sitting in these chairs, leather chairs, and I go back up to the bar, and I'm buying more drinks for all of us. There's a few of us up there, and this lady comes up and starts talking to me, and it's kind of waiting on him to pour my drinks, It wasn't anything bad, she was just talking. We're making conversation, and all of a sudden this little bitty guy comes sliding up in between us. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "That's my wife." I'm like, "Oh, my bad, dude. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, shit, we're just talking." It wasn't good enough for him. And it probably should have been a clue, because he's a little bitty fucking dude and he's sitting there trying to throw some shade, you know what I mean? But again, I was fucking drunk. So it kept on and kept on. Him just keep pushing, getting his point across, trying to keep fucking. And finally, me, which probably, when I say finally, it was probably like the 15 seconds later, what I mean? My escalation of force. So it probably didn't take as long as it did in my mind. But at some point in time, he's on his back scooting across the floor. And so, I tattooed him pretty good. He runs down the hallway, locks himself in a room. But now that flipped the switch, you know what I mean? The switch been flipped. And so I'm like kicking the fucking door and shit. Well, they finally get me to go. And so me and Don and all of us go outside. And next morning, my XO, good buddy of mine, he comes over and he's like, "I got to get you out of here, dude." "So what do you mean?" He's like, "We got to hide you somewhere." I said, "What happened?" He said, "That guy you hit last night, he was the fucking head of the DEA compound." So
All
I
right.
said, "Okay." So he said, "Well, we got to get you out of here." About 15 minutes later, he came back and he said, "Never mind. You ain't going. You ain't got to worry about it. They're firing you." It didn't take long. He was already making phone calls back stateside before I ever got out of bed. But he's the one that hid in the fucking closet like a little bitch. So if you're out there, fuck you, you little bitch.
What was
About a
was
week
that
later, I
bar
was
that-
on the mail contract for SOC, you know what I mean, back in Kabul again. So, I mean, it wasn't like you killed anything, you turd.
ooh, shit. I worked what was it? I think late 2012. I was working it was the post country national trucking contract for the Sandy group there in Kabul.
The
We didn't have a
Sandy group. I
yeah.
remember that.
So yeah, we didn't even have it was just me and one other guy. We didn't even have a security license to carry the guns that we were supposed to be qualling the Afghans on. So anytime we were running around town, we were riding dirty. And we'd have to go out to the range and qual these guys in order to probably go over and work on the SOC contract, because all they were doing was getting vetted by us to go and make sure that they could operate a weapon before they went and were running convoy security for the unclassed mail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that mail.
Yeah, there was
we used
Yeah,
What
there
was
was a
that
lot
bar
of-
that was in downtown Cobb? That underground basement looked like a
Ganimax.
fucking hobbit.
Ganimax.
Yeah,
Ganimax.
that
Yeah.
was the one that was guaranteed. If you went there like a Friday or whatever day it was, there was always going to be a fight there.
Yeah, that's where never mind. You know where I'm going with that. I don't want to go back there.
I was gonna have a different story, but you can go ahead first.
No, that was where Phil and Marcus and all of us went that night. That was the
fucking
funniest
Marcus.
shit, dude. Long story short, we got in this fight. And so after it's over with, Dan Bryant, who's a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Maybe he was Aussie. Can't remember.
I think he was Aussie. Yeah, I think Bryant was Aussie.
Anyway, Dan was good people, man. I love Dan.
Yeah.
But Dan was I think he was in-country manager at that time, PM, whatever. He was
PM.
He was the boss.
Was he? Did he get PM for a bit?
Yeah, but during this time, so you know how it was in Kabul. You could leave on the early flight or the late flight. I always left on the late flight because I got that extra day's pay. If you left in the morning and hit in the morning, you didn't get your day rate. But if you waited till the afternoon, you got your day rate. So I always did the afternoon. And what was that cat's name? I can't remember right now. Anyway, he was coming in on the night flight. And I was leaving that next day. So after me and Marcus had our little altercation, they run upstairs. The duty driver goes upstairs and he's beating on Dan's door. He's like, hey, and I don't know how the conversation went, but it was something like there's this big tattooed guy with a redneck accent down there beating the fucking brakes off this other cat. So everybody gets calmed down. Dan can't figure it out. He's like, fuck it. He goes back to bed. So the next morning, Brian Brown, I think that's right. Anyway, so Brian's coming in. He's from Tennessee. And he looks about like me, tatted up, big fucking dude. So that afternoon, I'm packing my shit, and they come down to the fucking transient room, and they said, hey, we're having a meeting in a chow hall. Come on. So I go in the chow hall, and I plop down. I'm hung over like a motherfucker, you know what I mean? And the rest of the guys already popped smoke. They're already in Dubai. We're sitting there, and Dan's fucking furious because he got woke up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the fucking morning for this shit. He's like, starts cussing. He knows he's looking at Brian the whole fucking time. He's like, I don't know what the fuck happened last night. I don't even fucking care. You motherfucker. And he's pointing at Brian. He's like, what? He's like, I know it was you, you motherfucker. And he's just digging in his shit, boy. And he don't have a fucking clue what's going on because he still ain't been told the story. He ain't been there for 2 fucking hours. And he's like, I fucking know it was you. He's like, Dan, it wasn't me. He's like, don't you fucking lie to me, you motherfucker, you know. And I'm in the back, and I'm like, Dan, yeah, it was me, bro. And he's like, looks at everybody. Now he don't know what the fuck to do because he's caught, you know, out in the middle like that. And he looks at me and he goes, don't fucking do it again. And he just storms out of the room.
I already said what I was going to say to him.
And so Brian looks at me and he goes, you motherfucker, you're always getting me in shit.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
Now, my tale of Ganimax is a little bit more embarrassing. So I go there, you know, I was on that Admiral Harward's detail.
Yep.
We were protecting him, yeah. And so me and the guys on that detail, they're like, oh, let's go hit Ganimax. And I'd never been there before. So I'm like, all right, cool. get there, order some chicken thing, have some beers, kicking back with some drinks. Get back to the hooch, 2 a.m. It always hits me, and I go over to the toilet. I'm feeling nauseous, but I can't throw up at all because I had stomach surgery back in '97. So everything's got to come out the other end.
Ooh.
So I go through the motions and I'm yakking so hard, but nothing's coming out. I end up passing out on the toilet in the stall that I'm in. And so I'm leaned up against it and I wake up and I've pissed everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck? So I get up, shower off, change my underwear, go lay down in bed. An hour later, they say for your first 3 days in country, you never trust a fart. I didn't even get that opportunity. I woke up to just a stream of liquid just coming out my ass. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I have just shit the bed. Literally, I've just shit the bed. So I gotta wake up. It's 3 a.m, change that bullshit, take another shower. Now I go back to bed, but now I'm afraid to fall asleep. And I'm sick as a dog, and I'm just like, got the sweats and everything. I'm like, don't fall asleep. Just don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Sure enough, somewhere around 6 a.m, I pass out again, shit myself again. Only this time I'm waking up by the guys that are like, hey, Dale, we got to go on mission. I'm like, you want to go on mission with us? They're like, oh, never mind. You just stay here, man. Just you handle that. And I'm like, okay. Oh my God, dude. That was like by far the worst shits I've ever had in my life.
Afghan butt flu.
Oh my God.
I got dysentery in Afghanistan. Oh, dude. I wound up losing, it was 20 or 25 pounds over 2 or 3 days.
Oh.
And I shipped myself twice already. Right. So where the hooch was that we were, sleeping in or bunking in at night, the bathrooms they were a good 100 yards, to get to the shower and shitters.
Yeah.
So in the process of me attempting to make the 100-yard dash to the shitters, I'd shit myself twice. Right. So I just stayed in there, right? And slept right there on the bathroom floor next to the shitter. So everybody that was coming in to use that shitter, when they came in, all they see is me passed out next to the shitter, right? So yeah, Doc comes in and he's like, hey, you okay? I was like, no, man, I think I'm gonna die. Like, this is how it goes out, right? And he was like, well, what's wrong? And I was like, I told you for the past 2 or 3 days, whatever, I've been shitting and puking. And he was like, so why are you sleeping on the bathroom floor now? And I was like, because I shit myself twice last night trying to get to the shitter. And he's just sitting there like looking at me dumbfounded, like, this is a grown-ass man shitting himself. Maybe I should finally do something about this and give this guy some fluids.
Maybe the ibuprofen wasn't cutting it.
Yeah, I feel your pain.
Like one of the worst scares I ever had. Not to change it, but I'm going to change it. But one of the worst scares I ever had sleeping. Were you there in 14? No, it was 13. Christmas Day 13 when we got hit. Dale?
In Kandahar?
No, in Kabul. I didn't know if you
were. No, I was still down in Kandahar.
That's Christmas morning, and
I remember hearing about it though.
Yeah, Christmas morning, and I'm fucking racked out. And we had the day off. We weren't running missions, obviously, because it was Christmas morning. I think it was Friday. I don't remember if it was a Friday. For some reason, that just popped into my head. But anyway, so there's these, I think they were Bulgarians, maybe, these 2 Vics. And they had a U.S. captain, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember. Anyway, they come by, coming from Phoenix, heading back toward town, and they're gonna make the right turn over there on Green and go into the backside of the Brit compound, like we used to do. And I guess the fucking, Taliban or whoever, I guess they thought it was us because they were in the same Land Cruisers, but we had the day off, so we weren't running that mission that morning. So they left Phoenix and they spotted them and they pulled up alongside of them, and they just happened to be right in front of our T-walls. And we were, 30 meters off the fucking road at that point. I mean, you know, that's what woke me up was when they detonated. And so we immediately assume, you know, security. So we go up and we stand down all the guys and take their weapons and shit. So I'm in Tower 1 at the ECP. I can't remember who was up there with me, but there's a Terp running down toward the ECP, running straight from me off of, was it purple or violet that Phoenix was on? Anybody remember?
I just remember the Dairy
purple.
Queen.
I think it was purple.
But anyway, so he's coming right toward me on the ECP and he's screaming, "It's our guys, it's our guys." And I'm like, well, fuck, you know. So I called down on the radio and tell the ops guy, I said, they're saying it's our guys. He said,
Did that
well,
happen on the main road out on the front, or that
Yeah.
shitty ass road on the backside?
No, one on the front, the main road, yeah.
Okay, because that was like right out. I had just quit contracting and left South Sudan right around that time.
Well, they fucking popped it. And so I called down and they're like, we'll get a team together and go find out. So I spent a couple of guys up. I think we went out there with 4 or 5 Vicks. I don't remember. And so we start putting up security because the Gannies are starting to close in now. And I can see it's serialized gear. You know what I mean? So we start putting up shit. And there's a kid in there. He's young Army captain. I think he was a captain. Young guy. Anyway, he's doing agonal respirations. So tell everybody get security up, get a hold of him. Me and another medic go to work on him. I think maybe a combi to him. I don't remember, LMA combi to King. I don't remember, something along those lines. Get a couple lines going, start trying to deal with it. We're trying to get somebody spun up to come back us up. QRF, you know what I mean? But nobody's responding. So finally, Britt Mill pulls up and they've got a med unit. And so we get him in there and so we pull back and we just collapse in and let about that time, Big Army starts pulling out. So we just pulled back and collapsed in and we bounced out. But the next day it was in was the Army Times and shit. And they took pictures down the street of all the Army guys out there and we were nowhere around. So I was proud of that fact that we got out before they started taking pictures. But
Gray man.
So when it went off, I'm laying in a fucking rack wearing a pair of blue plaid pajama pants, no fucking top. And so I literally grabbed my fucking rig, toss it on, you know, cinch the cummerbund, grab my guns on my belt and shit, and I head out. And so I'm literally out there doing every bit of that in a fucking pair of lounge pants, no shirt, and my Crocs locked into 4-wheel drive. So I was really fucking glad they didn't get any pictures of that shit. But for years, I would tell people, I'd say, motherfucker, I've had goddamn pajamas seen more fucking shit than you have.
We would snap pictures up in Mosul because they would always end up doing like the late night or early morning mortars up there. So there'd be dudes out there and who knows what, and you know, then they're flax because shit, it was like the very first week that we got there. They had some pretty tight mortar crews there. They hit the T-wall, you know, you had the clamshell thing and then the T-wall, they hit the T-wall and then it splashed in. So we ended up redesigning all of the bunkers that we had up there. But I mean, they knew what they were aiming for. So we didn't risk it. We ran to those bunkers every damn time.
I'm surprised they had anybody that was proficient enough to aim it.
Well, it was the State Department, you know, they were like, oh, we're just going to use, you know, Saddam's old palace, which was up on the top of the hill. So it was just a giant aiming stake.
Yeah.
It was the highest point in all of Mosul.
They called most of the fucking Iraqis I knew would just shit in one hand and smell it and try to figure out what it was. You know what I mean? I'm not saying all of them are retarded, but 98, 99, I think an argument can be made, you know?
Yeah, I didn't think anyone was dumber until I went to Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah, you and I were talking about the other day. I remember standing on a fucking range one day training them fucking bastards, and I said, I cannot wait to get out of this fucking country, get away from you fucking idiots. And then I went to Afghanistan, and I was like, y'all got any spots left in Iraq?
I tell you what, though, I mean, yeah, we saw a lot of dumbass bullshit, but I remember when SOC, I was one of the medics at Al Assad for SOC SMG at the time, and we were having problems with over at Spiker. We had that female who got pregnant, and she managed to hide it for
I
8
remember
months.
that. I was with
You remember
SOC
that?
during that time.
So we get told, hey, you're
what
gonna
year
have to
was
start.
this?
8, 9,
Yeah, I was gonna say 09, I think.
somewhere in the neighborhood.
Okay, so we had
Yeah.
already pulled out. Just checking.
No, this was some black American dude had knocked up one of the Ugandans there.
Chicks.
Yeah, he was KBR. We knew who he was.
Yeah,
And so they were trying to figure out, well, was the baby going to be a U.S. citizen, a Ugandan citizen, or an Iraqi citizen?
Now were
and
you?
they're all squabbling they're all like doing the Spider-Man, like, no, it's yours, it's yours.
No, you sit outside. You weren't down at Talil and Adder, were you?
No.
One of my buddies was a medic down there when they did the transition, and there was a Hug that got up in the tower and fucking ND'd, and one round hit 3 of them inside the fucking tower.
Oh shit. Yeah.
It was bouncing around inside that fucking metal can. One round, 3 hits.
I forget what,
You know,
I think it
that's-
was Ugandans at
Probably should have got a medal for
Striker.
that.
Was it
yeah,
Ugandans?
Ugandans, does it take to screw in a light bulb?
We were going there dropping a buddy off one time, and he's sitting there going,
wait, we gotta give Looney a minute to catch his breath over here. He's fucking
Yeah, I'm
dying.
good. Go ahead. That one struck me funny.
dying.
I was just, for some reason, I started thinking about when we used to make those fucking MRE bombs and throw them outside the Ugandans' tents. And it looked like a fucking clown car and pour it out of the
Yep. I remember doing that.
So much shit for that. Anyway, sorry.
No, it just made me think of another fucked up story. But yeah, I forgot where I was even going.
Well, I'll finish
Yeah,
my bullshit real quick. I go down to the Navy Med unit there, and there's this black female lieutenant commander. You know, she's there, who's my liaison. I said, look, I just need to be able to bring my females down here for piss testing. You know, got to do pregnancy and drug testing every so often now. And she's like, okay, yeah, we can provide a female overwatch for that. And I was like, all right, cool. And she goes, hey, you mind if I ask you a question? I'm like, yeah, sure, what? And she goes, so the Ugandans. I'm like, uh-huh. She goes, so, you know, how much do they get paid? And I said, well, probably shouldn't talk about it, but, you know, whatever. I said, you know, the leaders, they get about $1,000 a month, and, you know, the regular shift guards, they get about $900 a month. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, let me guess, you think we're underpaying them, don't you? She goes, well, you don't? And I said, no, but I understand geoeconomics. And she's like, huh? And I said, you're trying to compare your pay in America to their pay here. And what you don't understand is that for them, an average of $100 a month in their country, that's a national average. So these guys are making pretty good money. You know, they're making like 9 to 10 times their national average. I said, you're probably not even close to twice the national average, even with your uplift here. And she goes, well, I just don't think it's right. And I said, well, that's because you're looking at it like a black woman who thinks we're taking advantage of Africans. And she goes, and you don't? And I said, no, quite honestly, I think we're helping them out. But if I had my druthers, I'd give the jobs to Mexicans, at least give them citizenship afterwards, you know? And she just kind of looks at me, and I'm like, I mean, are we having a frank discussion or what? So she goes, well, I just don't think it's right. And I said, well, okay, let's put it like this. I said, with your uplifts, you're probably making about $70,000 a year sitting in an air-conditioned unit here on a fob, right? And she goes, and your point is? And I said, well, what does the private who rolls out on patrol make? And then she just kind of looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, he's out there for 12 hours sweating his balls off, but you don't think it's fair that we're paying a bunch of Ugandans what we pay.
Maybe eating an MRE.
Right? I'm like, there's no such thing.
Maybe. That's a huge maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, we have lawyers, doctors, and nurses that are working as guards because they make more money here doing this bullshit than back home being a nurse, a lawyer, or a doctor. Yeah, and I said, as a matter of fact, the guy who's in charge,
fuckers and put them in bags.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they got a fucking choice. We're not out there burping and stuffing them in a goddamn burlap sack.
I know that some of the stories they'd come up with were just crazy, like, oh, we were getting them just right out of the bush, or we were getting prisoners or some shit. And I'm just like,
Never been on a recruiting mission.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sock man. Glenn Witt's the one that threw me that fucking mail contract. I should have been pissed when that was over with. I think he tried to get me killed.
Yeah.
All right, Peanut used to try to get me killed all the time. He'd tell all the Arabs, Ana Yahuda, and he'd point at me all the time. But I never understood what it meant. What are you telling him, dude? Like, I get shot at an awful lot. He's like, yeah, I told him you're a Jew. You did what? So he's like, yeah, you know, if they think you're a Jew, then they'll stay away from you. I'm like, no, bro. Every time I'm out there, like I'm getting shot at, like something bad's happening. He's like, yeah, you'll be all right. Yeah. So that, oh, dude, that was all the time up there at Spiker.
With friends like
Meanwhile, you got Chainsaw wearing his Star of David, just taunting them.
Oh yeah. Well, I wound up putting a patch right here in the center, so I'd walk around with the Israeli flag patch, with that Star of David,
There you
and
go.
they would, dude, they'd stay away from you, but I got shot at a lot for it.
Well, anytime they get pissed off, I mean, no matter what, they'd start chanting "Kill America" and "Kill Israel." So you know,
we had one
Fucking
that ABP program. So we were having to take, I think it was around 500 students at a time for that ABP program. They'd come in, they'd do, I don't remember, 5-6 weeks, but we'd in process them. We'd get them all fucking kitted, you know what I mean? And then we'd run them through all the shit. They'd have a week of fucking weapons, a week of vehicles, a week of this, you know what I mean? Some CQB shit, small unit tactics. LE was there. That's why they had the cops in there. But anyway, so I want to say, I can't remember his name now. We had a kid that was over from the Marshal Service. He was a air marshal, and good dude, man. But they were tossing the hooches right in the barracks for all these fucking gammies, and he opens up somebody's locker because they'd been somebody had been marking with markers on all the walls and shit, like writing passages out of the Quran and shit like that, defacing everything. So we were trying to figure out what the fuck, right? So we're tossing their gear and finger fucking their shit, but he opens up the locker and out falls the Quran. Now he didn't touch it. It just was precariously perched inside this locker. When he opened it up, it fell out. So the guy who it was, he comes over and picks it up and he's like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And he's, no. The interpreter's there because we all had our own, on that contract, each one of us had our own interpreter. Terp's like, no, man, it's cool. No problem. Well, I guess he tells another guy who tells another guy who tells another guy. And a couple of days later, we got the entire fucking town outside the base, like with torches and shit. We had to call in a fucking helo and get him out of there. We about got the whole fucking place burned down over that shit.
damn.
I mean, they were out there chanting like fucking they wanted us to turn him over to them so that they could kill him because the fucking book fell out and touched the ground.
well,
I mean,
yeah.
that's not an exaggeration in any way. That was a legit, that was their want.
Oh, you
Yeah.
don't want to mess with the Afghani judicial system.
No.
If there's a contractual, I found this out talking about the Sandy Group. If there's a contractual dispute, like if you've hired in a Afghan company as a sub, they have a contractual dispute. They take that up with whatever the attorney general, and they will issue out a arrest warrant for the highest ranking person of the company that they're complaining against. So me and my buddy show up the first day on this damn vetting the Afghans contract. We had a house right there in Kabul behind Spinny's, right, towards the end of Chicken Street there.
Yeah.
Or not Chicken Street, whatever it was that cut in between Spinny's, that little alleyway where the beggars always were.
Yeah. The dumpsters were right there on the fucking corner too. Always had them cops standing right there.
Yeah. So we had our house over there, like right behind that. And so me and my buddy Double A, we're there the first day, and all of a sudden the local guards come up. First time I've even worked with this company, barely even know anything that's going on. And the guards come up and they're like, "There's police here and they want the Americans." And I was like, "Dude, we just got here. Tell them there's no Americans." I was like, because there hadn't been any Americans in that house for about a month. And so they send him away, and he was like, "Well, they're coming back tomorrow, and they said they're going to search and they're going to arrest any Americans here because of something going on with a contract." So I get on the phone back to DC, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that'll get taken care of." And I was like, "Well, they just said they're coming back to arrest us." I was like, "That ain't cool." I was like, "You need to get us the fuck out of here." So we end up getting on that evening flight that night, go back to Dubai. Ended up staying in Dubai, making our day rate for about a month straight before that all got situated. So me and my buddy, we went to the Harley dealership. We rented a
Yeah, that
couple
was the
bikes,
pictures
went
you
cruising
sent
all
me.
around. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun time, but man, what a jacked up company. And then we go back and, no security license to actually carry weapons. So we're going around dirty. And every 30 days, we have to go back to Dubai to renew our visas.
That's
So,
where the old villa was, Dale. The old villa
Yep.
and the old villa and the old new villa were
Yeah.
both in that section.
Yeah, yeah.
We moved around so much. We had the old villa, the old villa, the old new villa, or the new old villa, and then we had the new compound.
Yeah.
on the Mac too.
Was that when
that
you
was
were
near
with-
Green Village, right?
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
that-
right down from Phoenix there on the same route with
Yeah.
that
the
with
bar in it.
Sock?
And that was so funny because they were like, nobody is allowed in this fucking bar. It's like, we're the only people on this compound. Why is it open?
Right.
Like it's literally open and functioning. There was a swimming pool and shit. There's a bar. And it's like you're keeping the bar open and it's stocked and they take money. Like this can be a transaction that can occur. But you're telling us that no one on this program is allowed in that bar. And yet the only people in this company who are anywhere in any company, the only people on this compound are working for this company, but none of us are allowed in the bar. Then why is the bar open? Anyway, so we used to go in there at night, and Kevin Dragnet, you remember Kevin?
Yeah, I remember Kevin.
I think it was Kevin. Anyway, I think it was Kevin did it. He said he came to me one day and he told me, he's like, "I was so sure I had your ass last night." So what you have with me? He's like, "I fucking knew it was you. I just knew it. I come by the bar." And basically, so he goes by the bar. I'd love to get Kevin to tell the story, but he goes by the bar and he hears all this fucking ruckus, right? And he opens up the door and here's all these goddamn Brits that were on the contract, butt ass naked, right? I'm talking about butt ass naked, a dozen of them, not a stitch of clothes inside. You know how these motherfuckers were. And they're
Brits love to get naked.
all these fucking Brits, right? None of them are circumcised. And they're taking 9mm rounds and sticking them
Not
up
that you were
in foreskin,
looking.
right? And the thing is how many 9mm rounds could you get in your foreskin and let it hang hands free? And the winner, he got the fucking trophy or whatever. And so Kevin here's all this fucking ruckus, and he goes in there just expecting to find me in there just causing a fucking ruckus, right? And it's not me; it's a bunch of goddamn Brits in a circle with their cocks out, stuffing 9mm rounds on each other. He said,
Oh,
I'm questioning
fucking door and left.
exactly what the trophy was.
He said he just shut the fucking door and walked away.
Right? You just leave that shit alone.
Fuck it, man.
They're in a naked fervor. You don't want to be part of that.
No.
See, if
There
more
will be a
people would come
raping at
across
some point in
something-
time. Brits are there, alcohol's there, somebody's getting raped. You don't want to
If
throw your
more
head in
people would
that
just
fucking
open
ring.
up a door, go, "Yeah, that's not for me," and just close it and move on, it'd be a happier
He was like-
place.
He was like, fuck no. He just shut the door.
No, dude, what do you say? What are you gonna say? Excuse me, can you remove the 9mm rounds from your penis foreskin?
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
we
before
could
you-
tell some fucking story.
Before you try to rape me with that shit.
Yeah.
If you ask what's going on, that's how you get roped into it. Next thing you know, you're looking at somebody else open that door. You're like, "It's not as bad as it looks."
Next thing you know, you're ass down.
I can explain.
So
It's funny.
they're
I
taking shots
swear.
out of your asshole. I
You
don't know
went
what
to the same
happened.
party.
I just
Yeah.
asked what's going
Take
on
a
in here. Next thing you know.
What was that Quentin Tarantino meme a little while ago?
Uh-huh.
Drinking whiskey off of her foot or something?
Yeah,
Right.
he cast Salma Hayek to pour
Yeah.
whiskey down her thigh on and have somebody suck it out of her toes and then cast himself for it.
It's not suspicious.
Weird.
I mean, hey, I
Like a
mean, if that's
smart
your
man.
thing and you got the power, why not?
Sounds like
Right?
a smart man who knows how to negotiate.
It's all fun and games till it winds up as a national incident.
Oh,
It
If
bound-
I
Right.
get known as for a national incident of sucking tequila off of Salma Hayek's toes, I'm okay with it.
Oh, I was thinking more along the lines of taking shots out of someone's butthole.
yeah, he's talking about what was it? Armor Group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Ooh,
That was their
When they hit
initiation
international?
on contract. Yeah.
Yeah.
It became an international incident. Sure did.
Hey, Dale, you remember the red smoke incident?
This so
But do you
This is
remember
awesome.
how it almost turned into a fucking massacre?
oh yeah. Oh
You-
shit,
well,
yeah.
Because so
Hey,
so
who's the asshole that threw the red smoke?
well,
Well, to be fair to Looney.
hold on now. I'm gonna send that picture. Let's put that picture in this somewhere in this cut. So
Yeah.
we're in Kandahar City. It's just south of Kandahar City at CAF, Kandahar Airfield, over at Lindsay.
No, we were. Are you talking about the work up to it, or are you talking about the
Yeah,
actual incident?
for the mission brief and all that shit. So
Okay.
we're
yeah.
we got to go down to it was down in Pack Border or something, wasn't it? Where was the fuck was that at? I don't
It was at midway point. I want to say we called it TK, site TK or
I
something
can't
like
remember. But anyway,
But
so
it-
it's a big fucking Afghan military base place that they're building, and the Corps of Engineers wants to go down and do a fucking meet and greet and polish the brass. It's too dangerous for important people to go down there via ground. That's unsat. So they
But there's
sent
not
us
enough
down
air
there
for
via
you.
ground to secure the fucking site so they can fly in the important people.
that. Yeah.
So we go down there, we clear all these fucking hooches, we toss everybody, we get everything set up, we got a fucking LZ out there, blah, blah, blah. Somebody goes, all right, Tops goes, who's got smoke? Fuck you mean, nobody's got smoke? None of you motherfuckers brought smoke. Doc, you got smoke? I'm like, yeah, I got red smoke. He's like, that's all you got? I'm like, fuck else you want me to have? I'm the doc, man. Like, smoke's not really my thing. He said,
Right.
toss that red smoke. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, toss the fucking red smoke. Roger that. Fucking red smoke. So then Jax's wife takes those pictures with me and you and was it Moss? I don't remember who it was. Me and you
there
and
was-
somebody else was standing there, and there's that fucking red smoke blowing by. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden these helos are getting close, right? And they get in, they start to bank, and they see this fucking red smoke, and they start peeling off. They're trying to get them on fucking comms, and now everybody's pissed off. This has gone to shit real quick and hurry. And so we get everybody on the ground. We got a goddamn cluster of kittens that we're trying to wrangle here. And all of a sudden, out of the fucking distance, you see this cloud of smoke coming at us. And we're like, what the fuck? It looks like a dozen vehicles just barreling across the fucking desert. You know what I mean? And so everybody starts getting antsy, right? So they start lasing these motherfuckers, and they're not peeling off. They just keep coming. So they're fucking, now we're going amber. Now we're going fucking red. You know what I mean? And nobody's peeling off. They just keep coming. Everybody's fucking battling up, back to back. We're getting ready to fucking sling some lead. And all of a sudden, I think it was one of the guys on the general staff, and I don't remember. You may help remember.
Yeah.
He comes up.
Yeah, it was
like, whoa,
it was
whoa,
a
whoa, wait a
general's
minute.
assistant.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"These
waving
guys
us
are
off.
supposed to be coming to meet us."
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe you should have fucking, let us know,
Dude, we're about to light up
Yeah.
3 trucks of Afghan police. Like,
Yeah,
no
we
shit.
just about smoked the whole fucking battalion of Afghan police.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we had our fucking Ma Deuces and everything trained on these motherfuckers.
Yeah, it was like within a breath of going hot.
I mean,
that's why I said we almost had a fucking major.
Those specialists, they were starting to get ready on that little butterfly trigger, and I was like coming up like, okay, we're about to lay hate, and then they're just like, no, they're with us. And it's like, the fuck? You think now's a good time to tell us this shit?
You remember that one where I told you, I said, come with me, and we went out there to the window, and I told that Terp to tell that guy, I said, remember that truck that was fucking probing us that day?
Yeah.
Then tell that Terp, I said, tell him come here, and you came with me out there. And I said, tell this motherfucker everything I say. And I said, if you pull back over here one more time, we're going to kill you. And the Terp looks at me and he's like, really? And I'm like, fuck yeah, really. You tell him if he comes within another 100 meters of us, he's going to fucking die right here. That's his only warning. And he's like, okay. The dude fucked off, never came back.
Yeah. Now you had to tell these motherfuckers, man, because they started getting all ballsy because they're so used to, I guess, Americans not shooting at them or some shit. It's like, dude, I will fucking end you.
Them motherfuckers on the highway when we were doing that mail contract, I had that green laser, bro. I'd hit their fucking rear view or their side view mirror. They'd be in the fucking woods, bro, in a hurry. Like they would ditch that fucking thing to get out of the way. They knew what was coming. But yeah,
that was the stupidest.
It was a fucking zoo.
Well, those fucking dipshits in DC, they changed the coin, the counterinsurgency protocols, where they were like, oh no, now you need to let the Afghans into your motorcades and this and that. And I'm like, look, I know you don't get this, but these dipshits are just trying to get footy bread as fast as they humanly can, just because they can. They're not used to driving. I said, but if they get in our convoy, we're going to end up running over one of their vehicles because we got these big fuck off off-road tires on these Mat Bs. And if it's not that, then they're not going to be covered by our fucking Duke system that countermeasures the fucking electronics. So they get blown up and they're still going to blame us. It's like, they just need to stay the fuck away from us so they don't blame us for shit.
Yeah.
And now you'd have some first sergeant. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a huge deal, man.
Oh yeah.
Hearts and minds, right? Hearts and minds.
That's what it wound up being about, was hearts and minds, I guess. That's what they wanted it to be about. They wanted us to be, fucking, I don't know, poets instead of warriors or something. I don't know, man. It just stupid shit. They started listening to all the fucking whiny ass people that, didn't want to see horrible shit on news and stuff. And I mean, don't get me wrong.
I mean, a lot of the issue was primarily in Afghanistan. I mean, in Iraq too, but I say Afghanistan because Afghanistan's, it's known as that's where empires go to die. That's the graveyard of empires, man. Any amount of political, whatever you want to call it, going in there and try to change their ways of life, it's not going to change.
No.
And now is a prime example. We spent billions and billions and billions of dollars over there. We lost countless lives. We went in, we did everything we could because these American politicians and the good idea fairy thought they were going to go in there and be able to force a democracy on these people and a way of life.
Right.
They're not going to fucking change them.
You can't change
the only way that the only way it goes back to the old saying is, if you want to get a donkey's attention, sometimes you need to hit it between the eyes with a fucking brick. And the Afghanis, for the most part, were very much that donkey.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You had
in Iraq.
Like you said, like you had these dipshit politicians, and I say this with the intent that they're dipshits because yes, they've got degrees. They've got fucking degrees on top of degrees. Okay. They're educated idiots. You cannot solve world problems with just pure academics. You need a fucking taste of the shit air that you're trying to solve problems in. And if you don't have that, then you're never going to fucking solve it just, purely looking at it book-wise. And that's what they did. They're trying to fucking solve a problem.
You're not going to change the mindset of an entire culture in one generation.
No.
Never been done.
No.
That's why throughout history, we've always occupied these nations for 4 or 5 generations so that the people who were used to the way it was they'll die off and the new people will grow up more accepting of the current situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't make sense for them to think that we could have gone in there in one generation and changed the entire way of thousands of years. I mean, other than Japan, where have we done that at? Name me one time in history where we've done that. We still
Germany,
got
but
troops on the
similarly,
ground in Germany.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
it just
mean,
doesn't make any sense that people even thought that was a viable option.
Well, and
The part that
overall,
really ticked
it's
me off was when we left, because what the fuck was it for?
well, yeah, Iraq
What
and
the fuck did we die
Afghanistan.
and bleed and get hurt for? What did we get tore up for? What the fuck did we do? For what?
Goes back
Say
to the
what you
same
will
thing. It's
about
the same question that can be asked now with
say what you
Ukraine.
will
Look at
about
Ukraine.
Saddam Hussein. Don't get me wrong. Say what you will, but the fucking region was stable.
hmm,
Well, yeah, because the terrorists knew. They knew what Saddam would do. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier. There was not going to be a political process. There was not going to be a court system. It was, I'm going to catch you. I'm going to skin you alive. I'm going to dip you in sewage. And then I'm going to put you in a jail cell and I'm going to let you sit there and fester. And that's how you're going to die.
Oh yeah,
And they knew that.
he was a fucking sadist. I read some stuff
Yeah.
on him and watched some movies and not movies but documentaries and stuff. He was a fucking sadist. I mean, he was an actual fucking nail puller, and not
and his sons were
because it
worse.
was necessary. He did it for the fucking pleasure of it. I mean, he was an absolute fucking sadist. But say what you will about how cruel he was to human beings, but how many have suffered since we fucking intervened? You know, I'd like
I
to
know
know
it's
what the death toll,
You know,
what the jump was in percentages of human life on the scale of the cost of humanity. You know what I mean? Like, what was the jump from what Saddam Hussein did, who was horrible in his own right? Don't misunderstand me.
well, here's the thing.
What?
I
How
mean,
many thousands and
you're
hundreds of
addressing some
thousands
real
of people
shit,
have died?
John. But the thing is, this is why we need to start telling these bureaucrats, hey, look, when you fail at your job, you leave us the fuck alone to do our job because we're really fucking good at it, and it'll be more humane in the end. Trust me. Whereas their little interferences with their little trying to prop up their little bureaucratic career a little bit by putting their name onto something like, oh, I did this, I implemented this, and blah blah blah. I'm like, you're cruel. You're fucking cruel because what you do costs way more in human suffering than what even that motherfucking Saddam did.
Yep.
Well, and it was,
I
you
don't
know, it
know.
was getting driven from the higher ups. But if you look at the very beginning, all of the RSOs who were doing all of the ROEs, almost every single one, you know, from '04 to say '06, it was a shit detail because nobody worth a damn wanted to go there. So it was people that had just graduated that were going there predominantly. You know, they had to go and earn their stripes. And I think that steered a lot of it as well.
Yeah, there was some very fresh ones in the beginning for sure.
Yeah, I think another thing. I think another thing that we did wrong is when we went into Iraq. This is just me thinking, but when we went into Iraq, anybody that wanted to put up a fight got smoked. You know what I mean? Anybody that was of any caliber, as far as terms of you know, adversarial combat, we killed them right out of the gate. So the only people that were left in Iraq were the fucking, you know, the gorilla monkeys and the retards.
Or the ones that dropped, well, which,
Afghanistan, when we went into Afghanistan, you know what I mean? We adopted that fucking coin soft bullshit from Obama and all them, and we started trying to treat people better. And so, to me, man, I just think it was just an entirely different fucking mindset altogether. You know what I mean? We didn't do the same shit in Afghanistan that we did in Iraq, and it was just fucking, it was just nasty a lot of times. I don't know.
Well, you got, you know, the thing is, and I'm about to hurt all kinds of feelings, and I'm sorry, you know, to our partner nations, but you guys are definitely JV, and our fucking guys are typically major league fucking hitters.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you see the difference in the training, professionalism, the equipment. I mean, we have thrown so much. The U.S. has thrown so much at the military-industrial complex to continue justifying all that money, but you have to have something to show for it. So our troops, typically pound for pound, are much better trained, much better equipped. and as a result, there is nobody that we can't go in and mud stomp if we want to. And the only reason why we haven't since World War II really is because of bureaucrat intervention. And that's it. That's literally it. I am convinced of it. I've seen it. We've seen some of our counterparts, John, on some of the contracts we worked where it's like, yeah, about 1/3 of you's worth the fuck, and the rest of you should go the fuck home because you're a problem.
Well, that's what Animal and I were talking about the other day with some of our people. You know what I mean? Like, this is a tight knit unit, but we have another unit inside of that unit. And say what you will, but you got a lot of good people, like we talked about earlier. And they might be great guys and they might be good friends and stuff like that. But then you got another group inside of that group of just fucking monsters. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, everybody will do something when pushed to it, but there's just not a lot of people that want to go out and find it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
so that's a whole nother.
I'm not saying that we ain't got some guys that are killers. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying how many of them are monster hunters. Right. Everybody will back up into a corner and fire rounds when they got to. But how many people want to go out and look for it?
Right.
That's a whole nother argument in itself with me. Exactly what Looney said. And that's one of the things that we were talking about the other day. I look back over the years and don't get me wrong, I'd still go do it all again just because I've already been there once. So it's not like it's gonna bother me anymore. But looking back on it, I find myself questioning quite a bit. What was it for? Which is one of the things that you brought up earlier. And then Looney and I we were talking about that a lot of the guys that talk a lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, if you want, from one of the things that I've seen and a lot of the psychology and everything like that, and they've got sayings about it and everything else. But if you want to catch a monster, you got to become a monster. That's the only way to do it. It's not going to happen any other way. You're not going to go out there and you're not going to make political deals and you're not going to make everything sweet and happy by being a nice guy talking to someone that's an absolute savage. You need the monsters. You need to send your own dog to the fight. And if you don't have that dog to send to the fight, or in our situation, a lot of times, you're going to handcuff us. You're going to put one hand behind our back and you're not going to let us go do what needs to be done and what should be done. What's the purpose of us being over there? And I mean, we know what that purpose is because there's a lot of people that stand to gain a lot of money.
Sure.
But look at again, it goes back project, what that brings in. You know what I mean? Look at how much money TBR and Halliburton shit made. I mean, come on, break.
Right.
But again, that goes back to me with the fact of truth. Let's call it what it is. The bottom line is it's about money. It's not about fighting a war. So, and I guess over the years, as I've got older, as I've got more intelligent, as I don't know what you want to call it, maybe I've just seen more of the big picture. What was the purpose? Because we sure as shit didn't do anything over there. We didn't change a fucking thing.
No, I was asked this question one time by a lady when I was getting my haircut, and she saw my hat and she was asking about it. And she goes, "So you believe in all this stuff while we're over there?" And I said, "Look, I'm the guy on the ground. I'm not here to talk about policy or even really believe in it or even support this. I could give less than a fuck about it, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I'm good at being at a place like that. I'm good at all the jobs I'm assigned, and mostly." I just want to make sure that good people get home to their families the last way I saw them, with all of their parts intact. That's my only mission. And I don't care if they're brown people from this country, brown people from another country, or our people in our group. If they're good people, I want them to get home, and that's about the only resolve I could have out of it. And if I did that, then I figured it was a successful mission.
Yeah, I think that's where I really became about
myself. Yeah, I mean, I said that's kind of where I left it with myself. Was because I started to question even when I was there, because I spent what 04 to 2010 working there before I went to Afghanistan. I think I went through and added up my passport, and it was actually like 4.5 years boots on the ground. And so I went through all sorts of shit with that. And, it was just like what Dale said. I just kind of went with, we're there. It's an inevitability. But I'm capable of doing the job to protect the folks that are going to go there regardless. So
Yeah, we don't make policy and they don't kick doors.
yeah. And so,
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
went there with the mindset of they're going to be there. So if I'm, what I think is, the best man to go there and fill a spot, then I should go and do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's what it really became about, is going back over and being there for you guys, or being there for the guys to the left and to my right. That's but we have everybody asking, or coming home and people calling us baby killers and warmongers and everything else. That's one of the things that I really thought about. I looked at, and then crossing over and becoming a police officer and being out in the streets. As a soldier, we defend our country. We do things for our country. As a police officer, in my head at least, I was supposed to be the defender of my streets and my city.
Your community.
Yeah, and I was supposed to be out there in the streets doing the right thing. And I see it in both realms, only because I've been in both realms. At the end of the day, nobody wants the truth, man. Nobody wants to call it what it is. Ooh, Dale's in trouble right now.
No, I'm not in trouble. That's my daughter. Oh,
Blurred.
That didn't work. Old man using technology and shit, huh? On the counter, sweetie. Are you that blind?
Here we go. What's the Dale Show?
Intermission.
Everybody, welcome to the Dale Show.
he must be the star of the show.
Yeah.
You're talking about these?
Here we go.
These nuts.
Yeah.
It's my daughter, you perv.
You can't hear us. It's in your head.
Hey, she didn't see the chocolate that was sent, did she?
Oh, no, she did not. But she did see the little glitter dick bomb, because her boyfriend, well, actually her fiance opened it for me.
Nice.
Oh, so you pawned it off to him.
You sure did. I shook that motherfucker. I'm like, I'm not opening this.
It's called delegation.
Yeah, you're a terrible leader. You're a terrible leader. I think
but the chocolate's all mine.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Where are we at on time, bro?
Oh, we knew you'd eat that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's 10 minutes to 7 my time. I don't know. It says it's still recording though.
Yeah, it is. I upgraded. I just didn't
Yeah,
know.
upgraded.
I didn't know how long we've been running.
Yeah. So we've been running almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to a spot. Anybody got anything they want to add? Anything you want to end on? Any magic? Some wisdom you'd like to part with?
I would just, anybody that does watch this, I mean, the shenanigans and the shit that we say, but the biggest thing that I would want to add out there is stop being so fucking soft, man. Yeah. Like, look at the truth behind things. Don't look at the agenda that's trying to be pushed upon somebody else. Like, stop and think about the reasoning behind something, the actual truth behind it. That's the only thing that I would say. Like, call things for what they really are. Don't get mad about it. Don't get mad at the disagreement. Don't get mad at the hurt feelings. Stop, bring it to the lowest level, and figure out what the actual truth is behind whatever the case may be.
I said something about something like that to somebody not too long ago, but talking about people being offended as a believer in anything, I should want to be challenged.
Yes.
Not ridiculed, but challenged, because the old adage of, iron sharpens iron. How good do you think you are at anything if you've never been challenged intellectually, emotionally? So my beliefs are my beliefs. They're predicated on my experience in life, how I interpret things, my understanding of the world, my education, my studies. All of these things impart on me who I am, not just biology. yours are yours. You have a different lens to view the world through. You may have read some things that I haven't read. Exchanging ideas, that should be something we want. We should want, if I'm a Republican, I need Democrats. They're inherent to my survival, my identity.
Yes.
I cannot be a Republican if I don't have a challenged viewpoint. And so I want to hear what they have to say, because that challenges me to keep thinking and to keep practicing, to keep evolving as a human being. So
Well, and to see if your values stand up.
yeah, resistance
Yes.
is not just about that. It's a test also, but we should want that resistance. We should want that exchange. We should long for it. You know what I mean?
We
something
need
strive
friction.
for. Having a
We
Did you guys,
rational discussion about something just going to make us better people.
Yep.
did you guys ever know K2 or work with him?
Yeah.
know the
He was
name,
both
I
on
didn't know
Blackwater and on SOC. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so then you were there in 06 then with, so I knew and worked with him from 04 when we stood up, Hilla, and then went over to IRI there in Baghdad with him. And then, he had just left Baghdad, and that's when he went over to SOC or
Yeah.
Falcon, or he went somewhere, but
Yeah. I think he was up
Um,
at Daytona when they got hit. I want to say.
it was like right outside of that range that was close to Solder City, I think.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but he used to always have a saying was, the day you think you're the smartest man or, the best in the room is the day you need to hang up your hat and go home, because there's always something to learn from anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Set your anger aside, listen, think about it. Like you said, digest it. Hell, half the time you'll find out you're more or less angry just internally than at whatever it is you think you're angry at.
Yeah.
I like what
Jordan. Go ahead.
I like what Jordan Peterson says about being a man of virtue. You can't be virtuous if you don't have the capacity for violence. And it doesn't mean you need to be violent. You just have to have the capacity for it to find out if you're truly virtuous. Because if you're a nonviolent man and don't have the capacity for it, then your virtue is really rooted in survival, and it's not true virtue anymore. And all these people out there with these hurt feelings, like virtue signaling and shit, it's all weakness. It's really rooted in weakness. And so these people don't understand any real friction or strife in life, because they keep trying to think that you can somehow come up with rules that will prevent people from being mean or offensive.
Yeah, people are gonna be people. You can't get mad at a wolf for being a fucking wolf. You know what I mean?
Well,
a
lot of them didn't grow up with any stripes. Now they're trying to create some.
And that goes back to what we were talking about the other day, Dale, with the soft men, hard time thing.
Oh yeah.
I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about that very topic. Soft times creating, hard times and all. I don't remember how the fuck it went. I can't remember, but I had that conversation yesterday with somebody, and I said, what's funny is I've done it in my own life, because I grew up shit. I was in an orphanage at 6, tossed around the system my entire life. But now I've gotten to a place financially where I'm able to provide for my children in a capacity that I never thought I could. And so I've made their life so comfortable now that I'm afraid that I may have started that process without intentionally doing it.
That's
yes.
They
don't have to fight for food and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's an element of that, but I don't think it happens as much on the smaller scale as it does on the grander scale. Is the
I agree,
intent?
but I'm just talking about the idea itself. You know what I mean? Like I
Well,
understand
the biggest
why it occurs, because for me, it was an effort to create a better environment for my children, and I made that world a little bit softer, so they didn't have to struggle and create.
Sure, but
you know what I mean? And
you
I
raise
don't
your
think
children
that, I
and
don't
don't
think
rely on the school system to do it, though.
Right.
So there's a difference in that.
No, I agree. I'm just saying
Yeah,
the
but
idea of it's easy to understand to me because of that.
I think the same thoughts that Loon has, because we grew up in very similar backgrounds. In everything I've done, I can honestly say I've done on my own. I've gotten where I am today, you know, and my sons, I tell my sons and, you know, anybody I talk to about them, that my sons are my greatest investments in life. They're my greatest gifts in life as well. But going back to that same question I guess it comes down to being a dad. Where's that fine line of being too hard or too soft?
I don't know.
Will my sons know? Will my sons know when it's time that they need to be hard? Or because of the way they've been raised, will they cower down and become soft?
Well, I think a lot of that just kind of boils down to, you know, even a lower denominator of, have they been taught right and wrong, you know, morally? And if they do, then odds are they're going to stand up, you know, when the time comes, if they're faced with that.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know,
think what you guys aren't giving credit to is that all of us teach our kids that there are things worth fighting for. So if you don't show them what, you know, like the good stuff in life, that you're worried about making them soft, it's like, well, that's creating a value of what to fight for. And the hardness comes in the perspective you give them. You like, my daughters are fully aware of what I did for a living. You know, they remember all the Skype calls every day that I could, and you know, they've heard stories about, you know, the different explosions, the mortar attacks, and you know, and so on and so forth. So you know, they see that, and they understand that they don't have to experience it necessarily to gather, you know, what it means to, you know, have a hard time and have something worth fighting for. And I think you guys have done it very subtly, so subtly maybe that
Well,
you didn't realize you were doing it, and you're afraid that you didn't pass that on.
I'm not afraid that I didn't pass it on to my kids, but I guess to expand on what I was trying to say earlier, because I guess maybe it didn't come quite across right. I know that my kids appreciate everything I've done for them. What I'm saying,
is it just a step
basically,
up?
yeah, I've changed the history of my entire family. No one ever went to school. No one ever made, you know what I mean? Like, no one ever
Yeah.
bought a house. No one ever did. And because of that, their life is made easier. Now,
Mhm.
what's going to happen 2-3 more generations down the road? Are
Right.
they going to remember that salty old bastard that clawed and fought and did the shit I did? Or are they just going to be like, in 100 years, is my family going to be these soft ass people, like worried about the pandas?
Yeah.
And shit, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I've changed that history and made it easier for them, is it going to continue down that same path? You know what I mean? At what point does my soft times become their hard times again? You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's
Yeah,
inevitable.
but I also think
That may
I've
be
thought
a
about
little
that
too
too.
deep.
I've thought about that too, but one of the things that I've also brought into account is the fact that, generationally speaking, when was the last time that we had a war like what all of us went through? I mean, the last one was World War II. Yeah, there was Vietnam. Vietnam was there, but Vietnam was relatively short compared to the year after year after year of all of us continuing to return back to that environment that we went to. And whenever you don't have that, like none of these generations now, like even the privates coming into the military and the sergeants that are now out there supposed to be in charge of these privates, most of these sergeants haven't even spent time in a combat zone.
No,
So I think that's one of the
most of the ones
things
that
that,
saw combat left.
yeah, they're done,
Well, that's why we wound up with that major.
so yeah.
All right, I got to get done with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how this one turned out. I don't know. I felt like
Yeah,
we
I
were
guess,
all doing something
Hey,
map.
I had a question real quick. I got a question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about you coming from an orphanage when you were younger. Was that they had a different name for zoo?
You know, I'm secure enough in my masculinity to accept that as a compliment.
Well, given that I've seen gorillas more civilized than you, John, I would say, yeah, that
Yeah,
should be a
maybe. I wouldn't say I'm not civilized. I have a very low tolerance for stupid shit, and my response may be a tad disproportionate. I'm going to leave it at that because that sounds really scientific. Told someone the other day, I said, I remember my wife and I think we're talking about this, and I said, I remember being a kid, being afraid, being picked on, being bullied, poor, just, no family, no Christmases, just, I was that kid wearing hand-me-down shit from the dollar store and plastic shoes and, welfare and just dirt poor and just picked on, no male role models, no nothing. And then I got to about, I don't know, 15, 16 years old, and I found martial arts. I started doing that, and then I started lifting weights. And so I may have slightly overcompensated. I may have overcorrected just a little bit too much, but I don't think I'm uncivilized. Now I'm offended.
Sorry, John, it's situational.
All right, boys.
I think they just focus on our past drinking selves too much. We're somewhat civilized.
Well, and we're different people than we were back then too, bud. I've been cultured since. I've watched I don't know how many episodes of Pawn Stars. I mean, ask me anything. Ask me anything, literally.
I now know that charcuterie is just basically an adult Lunchable. So look at me.
Yeah, and I stream HGTV too much, so there's
I've
my
never even heard
culture.
It. I'll tell you how trashy
like,
I am. My charcuterie board is usually a paper plate.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah,
some pepperoni on one side, some cheese on the other side, dump some fucking olives in the middle.
Oh, you fancy. Mine comes in the can. I gotta squirt the cheese out.
Yo, nasty, filthy animal. Bad
well,
appetite.
Do we want to leave him with a cliffhanger?
I don't know. What's the cliffhanger?
So the other day I was making out with this guy, right?
And there it is.
Finish that one the next time. Actually, you know what?
So it's April, so we can leave him with a story of Derek in Baghdad. The true story of what really happened during that time.
I don't know if the world's ready for true stories.
Yeah.
Get after it. That's all I can say. Get after it.
We got to slow roll that bright light.
The bright one, save it. Yeah, we'll save that one. We'll put that one off for another day.
Yeah.
There was the story of a short little fellow named Peanut that decided on the way home one night he was going to borrow a local Iraqi's donkey and ride it home.
Was that the one where he's wearing the sock?
Probably infallible. Given the amount of chemical mediators on board, it probably was an infallible argument at that point. It made perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. The argument that ensued at the gate as to why he couldn't bring in his combat donkey.
It's called field expedient transport, fucker.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll come up with something.
But sir, it is a donkey.
Yeah, the Peruvians were not having it.
We brought a fucked up SUV in the ECP one night.
You talking about the one that
the one Jay borrowed for our chemical run.
Yeah, I remember hearing about
Came through the ECP and this fucking fully up armored club just limping through the fucking gate, smoking like shit. It was fucking.
Oh, remind me to tell you about the story about Jason actually confessing to me about a wrecked vehicle. I'll leave that one on the on
next time. The wrecked vehicle. We'll start with that one.
Wrecked vehicle.
Yeah. There you go.
Y'all have a good night, boys. Talk soon.
You too.
Sounds good.
Talk to you guys later.
License and registration? Chicken fucker?